Imagine a superpower so desperate for money that it flooded an entire nation with drugs while banning it inside its own borders. Millions became addicted, families collapsed, cities suffered, and when that nation tried to stop it, the empire responded with warships and cannons. This wasn't a war for freedom. It wasn't a war for survival. It was a war to protect a drug business. This is the terrifying story of the Opium War. In the early 1800s, United Kingdom ruled vast parts of the world. Its factories produced mountains of goods, textiles, weapons, machinery. But there was one nation Britain desperately needed: China. China had tea, silk, and porcelain, luxuries Europe craved. British people became obsessed with Chinese tea. Rich or poor, everyone drank it. There was just one problem. China didn't want British products. The Qing Empire operated like a sealed system. It accepted almost nothing from Europe. It demanded payment in silver only. And slowly, Britain's silver was draining away. Britain wasn't just losing silver, it was losing control of the trade balance entirely. Money was flowing into China and not coming back. So Britain searched for something China could become dependent on. And they found it: opium. Opium came mainly from British-controlled India. Farmers were pushed to grow poppies instead of food. The raw opium was processed and smuggled into China by traders connected to British interests. At first, the drug spread quietly. Then addiction exploded. Workers smoked it, soldiers smoked it, officials smoked it. Even wealthy elites became trapped by it. Entire communities began collapsing under addiction. People sold family possessions for another dose. Government officials became corrupt. Productivity fell. Silver didn't just leave China anymore. It was being extracted through addiction itself. Britain's problem was solved, but China's nightmare had just begun. By the 1830s, millions of Chinese citizens were addicted to opium, and everyone knew where it was coming from. The Qing government realized the empire was being poisoned from within, so the emperor appointed a determined official, Lin Zexu. Lin Zexu launched a massive anti-drug campaign. Dealers were arrested, pipes were destroyed, addicts were punished. Then he sent a message directly to Britain's leadership. He basically asked, "How can you sell a poison to another country that you ban for your own people?" Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, like the video, and subscribe for more history like this. Now let's continue. But Britain ignored the warning. So Lin took extreme action. In 1839, Chinese authorities seized and destroyed over 20,000 chests of British opium. Tons of drugs were dumped into the sea. For China, it was an act of self-defense. For Britain's merchants, it was a financial disaster. And Britain decided someone had to pay. Soon, British warships arrived on China's coast. Modern cannons, industrial weapons, steam-powered ships. China's military was completely unprepared. Many Chinese weapons were outdated. Some soldiers still fought with swords and old muskets against advanced naval artillery. The conflict became known as the First Opium War. And despite the name, this war was never really about opium alone. It was about power, trade, money, control. Britain wanted unrestricted access to Chinese markets, and it was willing to kill for it. Chinese coastal cities were bombarded, ports were captured, defenses collapsed one after another. The Qing Empire was humiliated, not because China lacked courage, but because it was facing an industrial superpower fueled by profit and empire. In 1842, China was forced to surrender. Britain imposed the Treaty of Nanjing. The terms were brutal. China had to pay huge amounts of money. Several ports were forced open to British trade. Foreign merchants gained special privileges. And one island was handed over permanently, Hong Kong. But the humiliation didn't end there. Other Western powers soon demanded similar deals. China lost control over parts of its economy and sovereignty. Foreign influence became part of how China's economy worked. The Opium War became the beginning of what China would later call the Century of Humiliation. A period marked by invasions, forced treaties, internal unrest, and foreign control, all triggered by a drug trade protected by military force. The Opium War changed the world forever. It shattered China's confidence, it weakened the Qing dynasty, and it opened the door to decades of foreign interference. But the deeper truth is even darker. A global empire knowingly fueled mass addiction because addiction was profitable, and when people tried to stop it, war followed. The conflict exposed something terrifying about empire and economics. Sometimes nations don't go to war for survival. Sometimes they go to war because too much money is at stake. The Opium War remains one of history's clearest examples of profit being placed above human lives. And even today, its memory still shapes how China sees the West, foreign powers, and national sovereignty. Because for China, the scars never fully disappeared. The Opium War wasn't just a battle between nations. It was a warning about greed, about addiction, about what happens when profit becomes more important than people. And perhaps the most chilling part of all is that history has repeated this pattern many times since. Or do these systems never disappear? They just change how they operate?